So Rod is online there.
Okay, very good. I'd like to welcome everyone to the September 9th meeting, workshop meeting. The first item that we have on the agenda is a general discussion about the Town of Elkton Code Chapter 8.12050, burning rubbish. And Rod Burr from Kensington Courts, the Homeowners Association president, is going to talk to us a little bit about maybe some possible changes that we could consider. I know that our ordinance is an old ordinance. Things have changed over the years. I mean, my gosh, we now have chimeneas and fire pits. Some of the language that we talked about in our ordinance was pretty old stuff. So, Rod, I'm going to kind of open up the floor to you and tell me what you're thinking.
Did everybody get a copy of the PowerPoint that went out? Because I would probably talk along that.
Yep, we got it in front of us.
Yes, we did.
Okay, so let me just start. I'm assuming that everybody doesn't have a copy, right? I mean, there's probably 15 people here. So I'll just recap what's in the pitch so that anybody that isn't aware or isn't looking at it. I wanted to just begin by explaining that the basis for this isn't a knee-jerk reaction. We've been monitoring the situation for 15 years as a board of our 300 home development, and we've had issues come up, and we've had people express concerns on both sides of the topic. When people, I mean, it's been a fairly common occurrence for people to burn brush in their backyard, and especially when people complained about being concerned about it, we've got onto them, and so through this process, and we've had, like I said, we've had the discussion back and forth over time, and we've told them what our viewpoint. We've informed them that it's not consistent with town ordinance, and we've informed them that we also think while it's not expressly called out in our covenants, we concluded that it was a safety threat that we could not condone, and so we could use our authority to take action if we needed to. So we were pressing people, and we were forced into a position where we had to figure out where to draw the line between what represented a safety threat and what did not. I mean, and so this input is based on 15 years of listening to both sides and making judgments for ourselves about where the line is well drawn. And when we looked at closer at the existing town ordinances, there's actually two of them that address it. In fact, they're a little bit redundant, but I think they had different purposes. So Section 8, and there's Section 8.4, and there's also Section 8.12. There's another one, and I included those in the PowerPoint. And the way the language is written here, it has very open language. Like it says that the first one says no dead animals, garbage, or any other matter, which means like everything in the universe. So that would outlaw everything up to and including even barbecue grills under this language would be illegal. And the other one is similar, and then it says it's unlawful to burn any trash, rubbish, or other matter. Other matter means anything and everything. So that would include charcoal briquettes and propane for a propane grill would be illegal. And then it goes on to say, or to burn any vegetable matter, which would be wood in the case of somebody that wants to burn over wood, or animal matter, and that would mean food. Hot dogs, hamburgers, that's animal matter, so that's illegal under the town ordinance. So we're not trying to seek to eliminate this altogether because we understand the importance of the safety protection. We're just trying to draw a line as to what is reasonable or not. So we went and looked at county and state ordinances. And what I didn't include in the PowerPoint was the source of the language that I printed here on the PowerPoint. This is directly off the Cecil County Health website, where they're talking about what they consider to be okay and what requires a burning permit. And basically, it's like all open burning requires a permit, except there's an exclusion for small recreational fires, such as campfires and outdoor cooking of food. Well, so if we're going to have something that's reasonable and safe, it seems to me that it would not be harmful if it kind of emulated the county one. Now, I understand that in town we have closer, houses tend to be closer to each other than some places in the county, but even houses in outside town limits there's developments and they're as close as ours are. So I would be more restrictive than this, but I would also, with provisions, I would allow certain things. So what I go through in my the PowerPoint is I show pictures of things. I consider what should be acceptable. What we view as being safe and not posing an undue threat to safety. And so on the first set of examples show chimeneas that lots of people have and are using on a daily basis. And we actually had one person to get cited by somebody from the town for having one of these in their yard at one time, which is kind of what brought this to the forefront more recently. And we recognize that as the ordinance is written today, it was illegal. But we think maybe it's time to soften the stance just a little. So under the new proposed revision, these would become acceptable. Okay, and then the next group they call them small metal fire pits, but they're very similar to chimeneas, except they don't have chimneys. So the second set of examples show pictures of ones that we have seen, in fact, in our development, that we think do not pose any sort of threat. Now, the third one that is also common is people have masonry. This in the PowerPoint pitch. These are E.P. Henry tiles, stones that they use for pavers and stuff like that. We have witnessed and observed. We've been watching carefully for a good time. Now this would, like some people, just start bonfires in their backyard to burn brush and stuff like that, and we don't accept that because the fires are not well contained, and they get too big, too easily. So we would draw the line against those. But if an area is well contained and it's kept to a relatively small size, and other provisions and other safety provisions are in place, we feel that it is within the margin of safety. And so I have offered some language revisions in this PowerPoint that would accomplish this goal and draw reasonable limitations. So on the next to last sheet, I've got the existing ordinances I would leave in place, but I would revise them. And the red text is the new language that's offered to be introduced into these ordinances. So where it said on 8.04, where it said burning garbage, offal, or virtually any other matter, it now says garbage, offal, or other prohibited matter. And then at the bottom of it, I define other prohibited matter to give specific examples of what's prohibited. And this emulates the county and state regulations, by the way. It says prohibited matter includes but is not limited to treated or painted wood, poison ivy, poison oak, poison sumac, manufactured chemicals, or materials that naturally produce dense smoke such as leaves or grass. We have had problems with that where people and existing ordinances don't do that. The county and state don't prohibit leaves and grass, but in a residential community, burning leaves and grass produces thick, dense, obnoxious smoke, which we would argue in a residential setting should be prohibited. That's leaves and grass. Brush in the form of sticks and stuff like that, we don't see as a problem, but they don't create the same smoke as leaves and grass as a rule. Okay, on 8.12, we would just stick in except as otherwise expressly authorized so that the rest of the language doesn't have the effect of outlawing everything. Okay, and then we would introduce a new ordinance in between, to go along with those that addresses small recreational fires. So it defines those things that we consider to be small recreational fires that are acceptable, provided all of the appropriate safety provisions are in place. So that's why, and I'll read this to you if we have time. It's as consistent with air quality regulations issued by the Maryland Department of the Environment and fire protection regulations issued by the Maryland Department of Natural Resources. Certain small recreational fires are permitted upon residential lots within the town of Elkton. Accordingly, the following are authorized so long as A, adult supervision is present at all times to prevent fire from escaping until the last spark is out. B, a water hose attached to a pressurized house spigot is within 30 feet of the fire, and C, a hazardous condition or nuisance is not created, such as operation in adverse wind conditions or nearby unsafe presence of highly combustible materials. The three categories we have here are: one is conventional appliances and structures designed for the outdoor cooking of food, including barbecue grills and modestly sized masonry structures which have a burn compartment that, when in operation, is fully enclosed other than vents and a grilling grate on top. So that's so that you have barbecue grills, and some people have had those. They're basically barbecue grills that are built out of bricks sitting somewhere in the backyard, but they have little chimneys on them, but they're fully enclosed. I think you guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we think those would be okay because they're fully enclosed. They don't really present a threat, and if they have a hose and it's adult supervised, monitored, and there's not adverse conditions, then we think those are safe. The next category is small metal stoves and chimeneas that are like the ones that were shown in the pictures, and I put limits on them so they remain small. I mean, we're not opening the door to things that are too terribly oversized. And the 40 inches in height is designed to encompass the ones that actually have the chimneys on them. So the body of it would, in those situations, be smaller. We're saying that if it either has to be located on a concrete or stone surface, or if it's not, then it has to be fully enclosed. But we do, because some of them have they have openings, but they have metal screens like you sometimes see on the front of fireplaces, stuff that keeps sparks from jumping out, stuff like that. So that in our view, that makes those safe. Now we're also viewing that a small ground-based fire pit, such as the one in the picture in the presentation, which is and there's a list of requirements, if it's surrounded by a concrete or stone ring, which is at least 5 inches thick, 10 to 20 inches tall, interior diameter not exceeding 50 inches, and does not involve creation of flames that are not well contained or that exceed 5 feet in height, and it expressly excludes using like the oil drums, metal barrels. So we don't want the fire rings that are just made out of a slice of a barrel because it's too thin, and in our view so far, they don't contain the fires as well as a stone ring would, and it opens the doors to too many kinds of barrel burning.
Yeah, see, this right here is where there's a
Could I?
pole.
Hey Dan, I believe you're not on mute. Maybe you could mute yourself. I'm sorry, Rod. Go ahead.
I just did it.
Well, that was pretty much
Yeah,
the
that's
end.
good.
I was going to open it up to questions and comments.
Rod, I think you did a fantastic job with this, and I know that you and I had spoke about this over the last few years, and we've had a lot of discussion over the last couple days on this, and I think that we recognize that there's a need to make some changes here, and I appreciate all the effort that you put behind this, and I think that we will change our or to add to. I like what you did. I'm going to ask Louis George to review some of these changes that you put in, and I think it's something that we'll move forward with. Anyone from the board have any questions or comments?
No, I just want to say it made sense what he was saying and very clear what he was telling us. So I appreciate that, Rod. It's Earl Pine.
Yep.
Yeah, great presentation, Rod. It was very well thought out and presented.
Thank
Yes,
you.
this is Commissioner Givens. You hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
I can.
Okay, I think through the writing that you have done, I see where you have come up with a lot of key components, which would I'd have concern with, particularly in A, when you talk about adult supervision, and B, a water hose being a significant distance away, and particularly the adverse wind conditions and, protecting nearby safety of other people. And I think that's very, very well written. And I think that was one reason why we had the law that we have about open fire burning, but you certainly pointed that out in your documentation right there. And I think you've done a very commendable job.
Thank you.
Lou or town staff? Lou, you have any questions for Rod?
The only thing I want to mention here is that ordinances don't affect Kensington courts only. They affect thousands of other residents and residential developments. So
Yeah.
we don't know if how conscientious every citizen is going to be that initiates a fire in their backyard. And also we have to consider that there are respiratory citizens with respiratory issues and asthma and things of that nature that smoke affects. So once you light a fire, I don't care where it is, I don't care about hot dogs and hamburgers so much, but if you start burning wood and other things, that smoke goes off the property line onto other people's property, into their homes, and it could affect people with respiratory problems. So you have to keep in mind the health is not simply from fire, it's from breathing smoke in the air. And different conditions during the day, moisture, humidity, time of day, things like that affect how smoke stays close to the ground and how extensive it can be in a neighborhood. So it's not as simple as just where a pit is or anything like that. It's more complex in terms of.
Can I ask a question? Let
Yeah,
me
go
preface
ahead.
it by saying that in my observation, virtually all of the burning that I have seen, I understood that, well, let me first say this. I understood that this ordinance wouldn't just be affecting our neighborhood, but I felt like this is something that probably most neighborhoods would be in line with, because a lot of people are doing it, even though it's against the law, technically, they're doing it anyway, and for the most part, it's overlooked and effectively not enforceable as is. But to Lewis's concern,
they do
to
that
Lewis's
all the time,
concern,
too. Still try to enforce it, you know.
to Lewis's concern, I have observed that nearly all of these kinds of recreational burnings well, except for the food ones, the other ones are almost always more in the evening hours. It's like I see very little of it in the daytime. I'm wondering if we put our restrictions, and for addressing his smoke concern, if we put our restrictions on anything except the food ones, like I've got three categories. The food ones is one, and then the chimeneas and fire pits are 2 and 3. If we put the hour restrictions on, well, remember also, we may not be able to trust people to, we may say that we don't trust people to follow the rules and be responsible, but if they don't, they're in violation of the law, and we have a much more enforceable ordinance. If there's like a fire burning and there's no adults around, or there's no fire hose nearby, that's a violation. Or if they start a fire and we find out those are the facts, it was a violation. So that's the point, is it provides a law that sets appropriate guidelines. But continuing with the concern that Lewis brought up, is that I'm wondering if it would make a difference in terms of people and the smoke getting over to their house if we put hours on the second two categories, like not before 6 p.m. or something. I don't know. Would that make it more acceptable?
No, I'm not a doctor, and I don't treat patients with respiratory issues, so I can't qualify what time of day would be best for a patient who has this particular illness. I'm just trying to think right now. The ordinance prohibits burning of trash and things of that nature, because it's not the device that was targeted, it was the air quality issue with the trash and things of that nature. So I'm not sure you're expanding on food and to other things, recreational fires and things like that. I don't believe that's in the best interest of our community.
I respect that. Let me just make one last comment on it. According to the county and state guidelines issued by the Department of Environment at the state level, they do allow for small recreational fires because they apparently don't feel that it is an excessive threat. And the reason I brought up the night thing was because in the evening, somebody is more likely to be indoors with their windows closed and that sort of thing, so they'd be less likely to be bothered by the smoke.
Well, keep in mind the county is rural, so their criteria might be somewhat different than a more densely populated area.
Well, we have relatively dense residential developments that are outside of town limits as well.
Well, listen, I think that
Beat this to
you've
death.
given us a good roadmap here, Rod, and I appreciate you coming on and presenting this. And I believe that we're not going to be finished with this. I know we definitely need to change some of the language in here, and I know that quite frankly, all my neighbors are breaking the law by fire pits and so forth. And I think we got to. It's a fine line that we're on right now. We'll get it figured out. But I appreciate you coming on and presenting this to us, and we will be taking some action.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rod.
Thank you, Rod.
Thank you much. Thank you much.
Okay, next on the agenda, I think we have Danielle Jablonski representing the Elkton Alliance, giving us an update. Danielle, are you here?
You're muted.
Yes, I see her.
I'm sending her a message to unmute. There she is.
There we go. I got it, Michelle. You got it? You got me?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. I should have hyphenated my name. Thanks, Rob.
There you go.
Um,
Oh, Danielle Carroll, I'm sorry.
I know.
I can't, I don't remember Carol.
I know. That's all right. That's all right. Thank you guys for having us on today. I want to give our respect to Brad. Can't join us today. He's actually meeting with the Cecil Solidarity Group after this weekend's events and trying to get some really good camaraderie there. So that was very important for him to attend. So I'll be speaking in his absence. I know I have Jessica and Margie on the line as well from the Alliance in case you guys have any questions, but really we wanted to give you just a quick update in general. We've been as a board meeting throughout the summer virtually, continuing to do our due diligence. Jessica's done a great job of keeping up and sending out to our businesses at large information on availability with support from the state during COVID-19, the county, as well as the federal government. So I think we've been trying to make sure everybody feels very well supported during the absence of some of our summer events that we all miss so much. So one of the things that we worked on, and I'm going to send over to you, we do have a really solid MOU draft available. So I'm going to actually send the email now in case you're on your computer, but it's a great,
Danielle, what is that? What?
It's a memorandum of understanding. It's been recommended, and we've kind of been, yeah, flying by the seat of our pants. It's recommended by the state for us to have this in place with the town per the Maryland Main Street designation that we have. Okay. So we haven't had one. We've been criticized for not having one by the state, and it's been on the back burner. So we're bringing it to the forefront while we have a little bit of extra time with some of these events, coming to the side. So, so I did send a draft. I think it's a really good working document. It's not to be the end all be all. Surely at this point, we feel comfortable presenting it to the town for review, just to see how everyone feels about it. Maybe have, John review it. Again, we kind of created this to be as complimentary, and it's almost, I think it's going to be a really good document for us to put in place because it's quite the job description, if you will. So it does clarify some things that have been, questioned by whether it be the public or other people in the community in the past as to what is the role or the relationship between the town and the Alliance. So hopefully this will be a good starting point as we move into, further discussions with our 501c3 status and moving from that chamber business to that economic development focus. So we're sending that over to you. I just wanted to see if you guys had any questions or concerns about how to go about this moving forward now that we're kind of handing off the baton to you with a draft.
Well, I guess the question, I'll have to review it. This is the first that I've heard about this. And, and probably Lewis will do the reviewing and see exactly what we need to do.
Oh, perfect.
So to answer your questions, of course we're going to do it if it's if it's needed to be done. We're going to do it, right? Yeah.
So, and we just need to have one in place. It doesn't need to be this exact verbiage. We have quite a few bullets and line items. So feel free to redline it, if you will. Track changes, however you guys prefer to edit documents, but we would hope for it to be a working document that we can come together on. So
we'll take a look at it.
All right. Next, we wanted to let you know that we've been working through the summer on the events and the budgets. We've kept very tightly with the amount of people that can gather, both on the state level, the local level. I know Michelle and I had some conversations as we were approaching our meeting about Fall Fest and some other things on the size of gatherings within the town of Elkton itself. And at that time, I think the town wasn't issuing yard sale permits, things of that nature, just because you can't really control what happens once you put the gates open. So we've done some modification, both in a budget capacity and on our events moving forward. So, you know, budget-wise, we are actually doing okay, thanks to our partnership with the town. We're going to be operational. We're going to be fine. We've been able to give out a ton of grants this summer in the COVID capacity. So we've done some repurposing of grants. Some of those I'll just kind of name off, and we have that in the email I sent as well. As just it's not needed to look at now, but I just wanted you guys to have it in your hands. But we did about 14,000 in emergency grants that we repurposed from Department of Housing and Community Development. We also distributed the Arts Council grant, and we kind of reworked that to be a COVID grant. That was about 8,000. We've done about 27,000 still in facade monies in 2020 with all this going on. So that's still a good number, considering, you know, our budget's typically about 50,000. So we've applied for and awarded about 40,000 in grants. And we just recently applied for a grant for ourselves. Because of our status as a 501c6, we were not eligible for the majority of everything available out there, but they did come out with a C6 available grant for 10,000. So Jessica was really great to uncover that, jump on that, and apply for that for us. So, so we're doing okay. We should finish out the year just fine. And with that being said, we've taken the opportunity to modify our events going forward. So just to give you an idea, we did not move forward with Fall Fest, of course, because that is a scary number of people gathering. So it was decided that we would kind of chalk that up to the year that wasn't, and we will just go hit it big and hard next year. I think everybody will be really excited once we can start having events like that. We will have, as of October 1st, the Scarecrows on Main contest. We're going to liven up Main Street. Get some scarecrows on the lamppost. We have it as a free event for our business owners. It did have a cost to it prior, so hopefully we'll get a lot of participation with there not being any monetary cost for them to, you know, pick a pole and go ahead and decorate it for the season. So we'll have that running October 1st. And then for the Halloween side of things, we decided to do a little bit of a different take. We've done some research on the parade, how we could do maybe a drive-through parade, how we could do a kind of modified parade, and every opportunity we had, and wonderful idea. I mean, the creativity amongst the board was fantastic, but we just couldn't guarantee that we wouldn't be either putting people in a position to be too crowded and not accommodate social distancing, or create a massive traffic event for the town of Elkton. So when you think about a drive-through parade, which was one of the suggestions, we're talking, I mean, we have traffic issues anyway, and there's no drive-through to begin with. So what we're going to look to do is have a Halloween movie. And when I say movie, we're not going to do just a drive-in movie, but an event. So dress up in your favorite costume, post on social media with a hashtag about something, you know, Elkton Halloween. And we're looking to buy the rights to the movie Hocus Pocus, which is kind of a cult classic at this point for Halloween, but it's for all, you know, age groups. So it's not going to be targeted towards just children, but you're talking children, millennials, you know, Gen X. It's a great movie, family friendly, but we're looking at where we can have that right now before we start promoting it. Maybe have some food trucks involved and get some excitement, you know, something we can involve candy with, whether, but again, we run into the passing of COVID. So we've got to do a little research on that, but we're going to look to have that on October 17th. So this year, no parade, but we're looking to get a new exciting event. And maybe it's something that even when we do the parade next year, we keep it if it's a good success. So we've got that on the books. We've also come up with a pumpkin carving contest. that will take place. Again, we're like including the virtual and in person. So there's options for those who are comfortable, but there's also options for those who are maybe higher risk or, you know, want to stay home because they have grandma at home. So we're going to do a pumpkin carving contest. Again, I have Jessica and Margie to thank with the social media side of getting that word out on that, hashtagging it appropriately. We're going to use our partnership with Grunge Muffin to help with some of that production there. But the ultimate goal that we talked about is how we're going to display pumpkins that are actually brought in on the wall of the Elkton Alliance, the corner of North and Main. So maybe we can get some cool, you know, pictures there on Main Street with the scarecrows, the pumpkins, liven it up a little bit. Other than that, we have Small Business Saturday, November 28th. Our retail folks are doing pretty well. I think our restaurants still need a little bit of help with the phase 3, not including any additional inside dining percentages, but we're going to see what we can do to help them. That's what we have on the books right now. And I think we didn't want to go any further in black and white just because the fall, there's this big anticipation of flu outbreak. What's COVID going to do? So are we going to be able to continue progressing forward? Are we going to stall? So we have some ideas of, you know, a Santa's workshop, so, you know, Santa's letterbox, things like that. Even instead of our cookie throwdown, maybe having, now that we have a couple of restaurant bakeries with the new bakery there, Penny's Bakery, having them create the cookies and have people be able to vote when they come in to purchase. So we're increasing business and, you know, still doing some fun things. But through the holidays, we're going to just kind of pause, get through at least September and see how things start to progress, maybe take some notes from, you know, what the school system does here in Cecil County and move forward. So any questions about our events?
None for me. Any member of the board have any questions for Danielle?
I don't have any question, but I think you had a very, very good presentation, and I really enjoyed listening to you, Commissioner Gibbons.
Well, I've got 2 more quick things to add for you guys, if you don't mind. Do I have a little bit of time left, Michelle?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The one thing that we did have was the downtown dining. We had a small discussion. We had done this as a pilot with the parking spaces being blocked off. And I think everybody has really enjoyed the amount of comments that we've gotten from how wonderful the town looks. I mean, even if you see, I guess, next to Jimmy Nichols now, we have a nice little new presentation on the sidescape there, and it just looks fantastic. So we've gotten some really good phone calls, people out of town, people in town. And I think we would like to start a discussion about what that might look like on an ongoing basis, whether it's permanent, whether it's seasonal, what we might be able to do, and just start the discussion. Of course, no, you know, decisions at this point, but I think to my point about phase 3, not including any additional indoor seating, I think our restaurants need the help, and being the business banker, I could see them needing help for a while to try and recuperate what they've lost, even if they do open to 100% capacity. So I think it's something that we should talk about, how we accommodate that. Is there a fee to do it? You know, how it will impact parking in the long run, if that's the case. I know we've had, I haven't heard any complaints, but I know we do have some store owners who might not, you know, be thrilled with the way that it is. So I think it's a discussion that we need to maybe start talking about as we get into the fall.
I agree with you. I think it's been made a difference downtown. I have to tell you, quite frankly, probably one of the frustrating things that I see is, one, it would be great if we had our restaurant on the corner, if it was open, to create more action again down there. But sure. I think the challenging thing is, now that there's seating out there, I think people that are going through that see it, and then we find out that we have businesses that are closed on Sunday and Mondays, and some days not open at all. I think we need to get a little more consistent. And this isn't something for the Alliance. I'm just saying this, I think for businesses in general, we're bending over backwards, I think, as a town to help our business community. And I think it has to be a two-way street. I think that we need to try to figure out how we can help them find people to keep more hours. Because I think if we do more hours, then we're going to be able to get more action in our downtown and make it alive. But when you have those days that we're closed, I can tell you everything we worked for kind of goes away, and I can see it. I see it all the time.
Yeah,
We talked about
And
we
I
talked
and I
about
can't.
maybe suggesting a minimum hours of operation to qualify. So maybe putting some parameters around it.
I like it. That's exactly what I'm thinking. It has to be a 6th day. I could give everyone that 7th day, but I think that they need to be open 6 days. And
Well, more than 5-6 hours even, you know, I think that would be appropriate as well. Because when you're talking about driving downtown at 3 o'clock, and to your point, if you're missing the parking space, the business that's using that should be open.
there you go.
Yeah, we're on the same page there.
Yeah, I think we can. And we're going to start enforcing the parking again. I think that takes effect next week.
Okay.
So I think that'll take care of some of the questions that we had about creating some parking.
Mhm.
But I think we're going to be fine. I love the outdoor
Good.
dining. I
Me
mean,
too.
I absolutely love it.
All
I got
right.
one thing for Danielle before she goes. I think you guys should consider having your parade at Meadow Park in the daytime and parade them around the circle. There's a lot of room there.
We were talking about Meadow Park for possibly the modified event with the movie screen, but the only thought was like we have say Bobby Ann's dance studio, and they have groups of 20 people dancing typically.
Mhm.
How can we give them enough space to be socially distanced between them and the next group, and all the people that would come watch? Because we liked the idea of something drive-through. It's just we had we were having a difficult time coming up with all the different aspects of what that might mean. And honestly, if it was tomorrow, I think we would be more comfortable with it. But the problem is this unknown fall flu season, if you will. And if we plan it that way and say, you know, we've been very lucky. I mean, for Cecil County to have 800 cases, we're doing great. But let's say we did have an outbreak of some sort and we had this event planned, or we had an outbreak right after this event. We don't know what the liability is to the Alliance for being the one that put on the event.
Understand.
And that's the question
Good
we
point.
can't get answered.
Yeah.
So that was the fear, is the liability and the potential. If we were on this curve and it wasn't coming up on flu season, I think we'd all be much more open.
Yeah, yeah, I see the roadblock there.
Yeah. But thanks, Rob. We're all going to miss it. You still dressing
Yeah.
up?
Yeah, well, oh, hell yeah.
All right. Me too. Me too.
Matter of fact, I'm going to dress up like a scarecrow and blend in on Main Street and scare people.
You just
Danielle?
be one of the ones that stand there.
I'm doing it.
Danielle, you didn't mention the open mic that we have planned for the first Friday in
I did, and I
October.
got Rob's wonderful text message about it yesterday. So we will be hosting First Friday in October. Rob is going to be on the Elkton Alliance lawn, I believe. And I love the fact that you took wonderful precautions in your text message. You said you're putting Ziploc baggies over the microphone with, you know, rubber bands and switching them in between people. I think it's fantastic. But yeah, we're still trying to do some of our regular events that we need to infuse downtown. I think the big fear is just the bigger ones that create that question. But yes, thank you, Margie. Scott. The last thing I have for you guys is an ask, and I'll leave you with it because I don't want to have too much discussion. I want you guys to be able to take your time and review it, and hopefully maybe we could come back at a town meeting and formally present and ask for an answer of some sort. But with these modified events that we're having, with the outdoor seating that we're having, with everybody depressed about COVID, we went back and we revisited a downtown lamppost style ongoing speaker system and what that would look like for implementing. So we reached out to the company that the state of Maryland recommended. In fact, they're the ones Havre and Grace used, if you've been down Washington Street, for, you know, what this would cost, what it would look like. The thought being that it would be enticing for some of those those buildings that aren't filled, say, you know, the corner across from the pizza shop that seems to never be leased. But if they had somebody coming, their prospective, you know, tenant and business owner, we're going to be able to create an atmosphere, and it's something that you're buying into with downtown. So whether you're eating outside at, you know, Central Tavern, or down on the corner at the pizza shop, or at Spork, or up at the coffee shop, hopefully you can, you know, have an opportunity to have this nice musical atmosphere. That being said, we did get a quote back, and I think it's a great quote. And what we would like to do, because we did go over our budget, is we're going to be able to repurpose a little bit of grant dollars, and we're going to hopefully have enough in our budget to at least pony up half of this. So we wanted to see if it's something that the town would be willing to partner with us on, because as we, you know, encourage people to come downtown and say, go vote at the bakery or Spork for your, you know, cookie throwdown, they're walking around and they're still being able to experience a nice time downtown. The system costs a total of roughly $17,500. And what that does is it gives us music from the corner of, I always say the pizza shop, sorry, down by Elkton Florist, all the way up towards the courthouse. And then we can actually mount a speaker on, if we get, you know, approval, because it's a town's building where the Alliance is, on the back of the Alliance building to incorporate North Street as well. The nice thing about this is it's a plug and go. So we have a system right now, but the problem is it is a manual system. You have to have manpower, and we know Public Works is stressed. We know there's so much going on. We can't ask, I say Jessica, really, or anyone to really take these speakers out, haul them out there, plug them up, haul them back, maintain and watch them. It's a very mundane task. The other thing, it doesn't provide uniform as far as the music that's played on between them and what speaker Becky might have sitting out front of Central Tavern. So I think it would be really nice for this COVID season, if you will, to try and give some sort of a, you know, holiday feeling, and like, you know, the Alliance, the town, we're trying our best, and it'd be a great permanent fixture. So we would be able to play music without ASCAP fees, you know, with a minor subscription that the Elkton Alliance would be able to foot the bill on regularly. And we can switch from, you know, holiday music in during that season to your 70s, 80s, 90s today. You know, it's just a really good option. So I have a complete budgetary estimate quote from them, and I would like to have either myself or Jessica formally send that to you for review.
Absolutely, you can send it to us. I would say to you that unless things have changed since the last couple times that we reviewed these, I can't quite tell you what the obstacles we had.
Rob, one was the mounting on the building with the historical buildings, the mounting of the speakers. I remember that.
If we had the issue with that one, that would only affect the North Street. The rest of them, we're very lucky that the town has the lampposts that have the electric input, which is all that they need. So from a technical standpoint, we had the company come out and check our lampposts, check our signal reaches. And because of the way Main Street actually curves to the left, I'm going to say left, I don't know the formal direction, we get signal connectivity everywhere we need to. So if we have a problem with the historical building, that would only take the one speaker off of North Street up by the back of the building.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, girlie.
Okay.
I'm Danielle. I'm Danielle instead of girlie.
I'll take girlie. I'll take girlie. It's better than old lady.
All right, well, send it over and
Danielle,
we'll take a look at it.
Danielle, you say there's no problem with ASCAP fees?
No, so what we've looked into is subscribing to like a Muzak or something like that on a monthly basis on a business level. So because we're providing entertainment to either a customer or community at large. Your monthly subscription takes care of any ASCAP, any fees that you would be charged, and keeps you legally in the space you need to be for providing music. Yeah.
If I may, they told us that it is called Cloud Cover Music. It's only about $16 a month, and you can create a schedule. You can schedule it so you cuts off at a certain time at night. We also have the ability to do PSAs, which would be nice. Say there's a storm coming or a tornado, we can tell everyone to shelter in place. You can do welcome announcements from the mayor, even saying, welcome to the town of Elkton. Hope you enjoy your stay here. And you could also even do ads that you could sell to the businesses that could help pay for the cost of the system as well. So they're
nice thing to have.
Very good. We'll send it over. We'll take a look at it.
All right. Well, thank you
All
guys
right.
for all your time today. That's all we have.
Thank you, guys.
Danielle.
Yeah.
Bye, Jeff.
All right. This is the, I don't believe we have anything else on the agenda, do we, Michelle?
Is Mr. Lemon, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, you were dialed in.
The
twice.
alien life form coming here. I don't mean to be interrupting anything.
Mr. Lemon.
Hi.
Okay.
I have no comment. I have no comments.
Thank you. All right. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you,
Have a
guys.
good one.
Thank
Have
you.
a
Thank
good
you.
one.
Have a good day, everybody.
Thanks.
So long, you too.
Hi.